The House Agriculture Committee has revealed the first version of the 2018 Farm Bill. The bill is estimated to spend about $867 billion over the next 10 years. According to Brad Lubben, a Nebraska Extension policy specialist, the proposed language reauthorized PLC and ARC-CO and increased the Conservation Reserve Program, also known as the CRP acreage cap. However, Brad notes that nutrition is the most contentious title. House Republicans recently added language that would require most adults in the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program to enroll in a state workforce program or work at least part-time to receive benefits. We spoke with Brad Wednesday morning and began by asking him about the changes in the proposed 2018 Farm Bill for commodities.
Well, what we see released and what we expect to see debated here as the House Ag Committee brings up the initial deliberations. On the commodity program itself is fundamentally no major change, at least no major change from what was expected. Some tweaks to the ARC program in terms of the yield data used for the calculations. It looks like a projected elimination of the individual coverage portion of the ARC plan, which wasn't widely used in the first place. But fundamentally a commodity program that looks very much like what we have today.
On the conservation side, we'll see an increase in CRP acres.
Right.
Tell us about that and other changes on conservation.
Yeah. Two big items in the conservation plan. Of course, remembering this is just a proposal going forward at this point, but a proposal to increase the CRP acreage, the cap from 24 million, eventually up to 29 million. So a modest expansion of CRP, 1 million new acres every year, but also a reduction in payment rates, that is the rental rate on CRP acres. A proposal to cut that to 80% of the going county average rental rate instead of the current 100%. That would help save some money. That would help pay for the increased acreage. The other big item mentioned in the conservation section is the proposed merger of EQIP and CSP. By definition, it's an elimination of the CSP program going forward, but an addition of stewardship payments into the EQIP program as currently defined. Now, that might be a way to merge the two fundamental working lands programs into one and maybe streamline some activities. It also faces a lot of pressure from current participants and stakeholders who like the direction of the CSP program. So while it looks like it's going forward, at least in the House Ag Committee discussions, that will be another area we'll watch and see what further deliberations bring.
Let's talk more about crop insurance. Sometimes no news is good news.
So far, one would say that crop insurance, really, expectations are that both committees in the House and the Senate, that both Ag committees would strongly support existing crop insurance programs, and we don't see any changes coming there. We do expect, and everybody I think is generally waiting for and watching for what might be proposed on the floor. Maybe from the far left, maybe from the far right, but from both ends of the spectrum, maybe proposed amendments coming that could take cuts at crop insurance as we currently see it.
One addition this year has to do with an animal vaccine bank.
We've seen ag groups, livestock groups particularly, talk about the need for a vaccine bank to get the United States prepared for a potential animal disease issue and the ability to respond quickly. Building a vaccine bank, putting in a strategy of preparedness instead of response has been critical to them. It's proposed to add several $100 million in the House Farm Bill language to do just that. Again, we'll have to watch this unfold in the House Ag Committee, the Senate Ag Committee, and eventually any sort of final legislation. But there clearly is some strong effort to address the animal disease issue with a strategy of preparedness.
The nutrition title is drawing the most criticism in this first early version. Tell us about why that is.
In the whole debate, and we remember that farm bills now for 40 plus years have been farm and food, and the nutrition title is clearly the biggest title in terms of spending. It's also become this go around the single biggest point of debate and contention, and it's arguably the reason why the farm bill's fate is uncertain right now. The nutrition title funds predominantly SNAP, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and that SNAP program itself is subject to substantial debate. There are proposals to tighten some of the eligibility restrictions and some of the rules to try and tighten up participation rates and reduce current enrollment. There are also proposals in this House Ag version markup language to substantially increase the spending on training and other incentive programs to help motivate job and educational efforts for those that are currently on assistance. Now, interestingly enough, the proposal as presented is basically a budget neutral bill. All the proposed savings due to eligibility rules or participation rates are reinvested into some of these training and incentive efforts. And yet we still see a very strong Republican versus Democratic divide on what the fate of the nutrition title looks like. That may not prevent or seriously hamper the progress of the bill moving through committee, where there are still enough Republican votes to pass it if everybody votes, but it could seriously affect the fate of the bill on the floor, and it could substantially change when you look at what a bipartisan Senate bill might look like.